All right, Fritz fam, here we are at the Florida Aquarium mangrove exhibit, and we were just in Hawaii, and we take a look at the mangroves over there. I wanted to bring you over here to someone that was more knowledgeable about mangroves and an actual mangrove exhibit. So Stephen, you have one of the best mangroves in the world here at this exhibit here in Florida.
Thank you.
Can you tell us more about it? I know that you said that you've been in charge of it for about 8 years now.
Right, yeah. So in 1995 when we opened, these mangroves were very specially brought in for this exhibit. It took a lot of permitting and figuring out, from FWC and all sorts of entities on how do we grow mangroves indoors. And so I give credit to Julia Stack back 25 years ago. She got this all going, and we've been here ever since. And these are the original ones. We've added a few young ones here and there over the years,
right?
But we made it last, and we made it an educational component here of our aquarium.
And I heard from Brett earlier, who's one of my friends here at the Florida Aquarium, that you actually take the pods that come off of these mangroves here, and you share them with the rest of the world, right?
Right. So right here, this is a mangrove propagule, and what we will do is we will collect them, and we will raise them up into new baby mangroves, and we will send them all across Tampa Bay through conservation projects and restoration efforts along our shorelines. Different entities can contact us if they're interested, and we'll go help them plant mangroves along shorelines.
And this is a propagule, right?
Propagule?
Propagule?
Yeah, Propgule. Mangroves are what's called viviparous, and viviparous means that the seed of the plant actually stays on the plant while the seed grows. So this right here, this is the seed of the mangrove, but it stays attached to the mother plant while the new mangrove is born and comes out. And so it's got a really unique well, I just broke it, but this point right here will be its first set of leaves. And this torpedo shape right here, evolutionary-wise, is shaped this way to fall straight down and potentially into a salt marsh and plant itself.
Right.
Yeah. Or the other option is it can float for up to 2 years, go into the waves, and this is heavier, so if the waves are going back and forth, it settles into the sand and plants itself.
We're talking about into a salt marsh, right? And so talk more about the environment in which we'll find mangroves in the ocean. So in a salt marsh area, sometimes you can even find it in brackish water, correct?
Right.
And how do these mangroves, live in salt water?
There's various types of mangroves, and each one of them have a slightly different ability to filter out salts.
Right.
Here, most of these are red mangroves, and their roots are almost like sponges. If you did a cross section of a mangrove root, it would actually be very porous and very sponge-like, and it would have a cored out center, but the surrounding part would be a sponge, and that filters out the salt, so it doesn't even take it in.
So this is part of the red mangrove species, but there's probably, I was reading over like 90 different...
I don't know that exact number, but it's a lot. And here in Florida, we have 3 main types. Right. And then a potential 4th if you consider buttonwoods their cousin.
So there's going to be your species, and then you're going to be your variants within those species.
Right.
And I heard that there was 96 different variants.
There could be.
That's the power of Google these days.
Yeah.
There
likely is. Typically, the temperature around the equator around Earth is that warmer temperature that mangroves like. And so that's where you're going to find them.
Right.
So different countries, Thailand, everybody's going to have their own version of a mangrove, but they've all got similarities too.
Right. I mean, I imagine there's a lot of different types of fish that find the mangrove as shelter and home. Can you tell me about the role of a mangrove and, maybe fry as baby fish and things like that are like critical for different types of fish to survive?
Right. So mangroves are important for a vast amount of reasons, and that's just the beginning. You can even start with a dead mangrove leaf decaying in the water becomes the food for zooplankton.
Right.
That plankton becomes a food for another animal. A larger animal then eats that. The mangrove roots, as you've seen below here, they go all the way down in the water, and that forms the first ecosystem that mangrove ecosystems create. And that provides space and shelter and habitat for fish to lay their eggs, which creates nursery space for all sorts of fish and invertebrates to start their families.
Wow. Another question is, one of the main reasons why hobbyists are utilizing mangroves is their ability to take in pollutants like nitrate and phosphate. This is probably a large part of its job inside of the ocean, just to help keep it clean and bring in those wastes from the fish and inhabitants that exist within the mangroves.
Yep.
And it helps, just like plants keep the air clean for humans, these are keeping the water clean for its inhabitants. So,
Right. Yeah.
Can you tell me more about its filtering capabilities?
So they take in nutrients from their surrounding areas and utilize them for growth.
Right.
But they also store them like carbon.
Right.
We also have to give credit, not to take away from mangroves, but give credit to the sand. The sand is our big filter also.
Right.
So that's our main filter of the ocean. The mangroves are added bonus to that and can filter out different things that sand wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But like in our systems here, our fish are making waste. The mangroves are absorbing that up and using it for growth.
One of the main reasons as a hobbyist, Fritz fam, that you'll see mangroves and the saltwater side of the industry, because it provides such a good filter device for your aquarium. And right now there is a reduction in the amount of mangroves in the ocean. So we're going to talk about ways at which you can help and might be able to donate funds to help protect the mangroves around the world. So let's just walk around and take a look at the different parts of your facility here. You can show me some cool stuff, show me some of the fish that you have down in here. And we can just kind of share with the Fritz fam some of the exciting parts of your exhibit.
Sheep's head and red drum are in this exhibit mainly. We do have some stingrays towards the other end. Lots of birds that are using this as their habitat. We got those black and white stilts. We have a gray heron down that way named Jackie. She's in the middle.
Oh yeah.
But even our ibis and our spoonbills will use the mangroves as their nesting habitat. Each layer of them provides a different benefit to its surrounding ecosystem.
Right.
So underneath the water, they're a home and habitat for fish. Above is their home and habitat for invertebrates. There's mangrove snakes, mangrove crabs. And then in the canopy, it's home for birds and shoreline birds, so to create their nests and raise their families also.
I can see mangroves being a big feature inside of future saltwater aquarium builds, where they're actually utilizing the way that the roots go down into the water to create a unique scaping, that more of a natural look. Right now what you're seeing in saltwater is a lot of rocks set up with a perfect pedestal to put each type of coral from all over the world, and it looks just like a trophy case of coral instead of a natural environment. And so I'm really excited for the future of the hobby to really kind of utilize mangroves more as a natural filtration component to their aquarium, and to create a natural look for saltwater, which has not been really existent in the past. It's mainly just rocks and coral. Right. Which is just a fraction of what you're getting out there. And
you're finding that professional hobbyists is now, their tank is going beyond this level.
Right.
They're putting the lights above and higher.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're having the plant growth within it.
And that looks so much better, right?
Yeah.
More of a snapshot of what you might see in a given portion of the ocean, where you took
you
it
see the full picture.
Home, right? Versus right now we're trying to create like just hey, this was out of Australia, this was out of Indo, this was out of the Caribbean, and I just put it all together here. It doesn't really quite kind of.
It's nice, but we can take it to the next step. Then you see the whole picture.
Right.
With adding the plant life and other aquatics. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you heard it here, Fritz fam. I'm telling you right now that I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see mangroves take over more of the aquascapes we see on the saltwater side of the hobby. So what do we have here? So this is a red mangrove, one of the 4 species that we were talking about at mangrove.
Right, so you have red, black, and white mangroves. This is a red, so Rhizophorio mangle.
And this is the most common that you're going to see, is the red?
This is the one you're going to see right along the shoreline and even right in the water.
Right.
However, you will find all 3 in that capacity. Above us is a buttonwood, which is their cousin. So buttonwoods are also related to mangroves. Red mangroves will be right along the shoreline and even right in the water. Mm-hmm. Black mangroves are the next evolutionary level up, and they have pneumatophores which come up and help them breathe out of the water. Compared to red mangroves, have their roots start higher up and then go down. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have white mangroves, which look more like a traditional tree and like the buttonwood, and they're higher up in evolution on the shoreline, but they're all 3 related. But what I wanted to point out here is this is a good example of how thick and dense. You can find red mangrove roots within the land, and that it shows the protection that they're providing. It's like nature's seawall. And so whenever there's a extreme high tide, a flooding situation, or hurricane, these roots are keeping your shoreline intact and keeping the habitat of all the animals safe.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can just imagine how many like crabs or invertebrates and every living thing that can go in there and hide and stay safe during a bad weather situation.
So if mangroves filter out the salt, right?
Right.
Then
There's different scenarios, but in
Right.
general, yes, that's correct.
they filter out the salt. Now, do they use that in any component for their own growth?
Not to my knowledge, because salt is not really a benefit to
How
plant.
do you use it?
Salt for mineral nutrients overall for animals is a very good thing, actually. And salt is a great element for the earth. But general plant growth, they may be able to pull out certain elements that the salt may provide, like magnesium, but this it excretes it, or it doesn't take it in,
Right.
because there's so much salt in the ocean.
Anything else that we want to share about mangroves?
Just want to reiterate the value and importance of the habitat they create, the restoration possibilities, the protection they provide us as humans living along shorelines. Just every level of mangroves has its own important aspects, from the birds, from the canopy, invertebrates, fish below the waterline. Mangroves are a niche keystone species that are just, they themselves create so much diverse habitat that proves their value.
Wanted to find a way to where if you wanted to support mangroves in the oceans, that you could actually donate. You can make a donation to the Florida Aquarium, tag your donation for the support of mangroves, and that's where it's going to go. So I will leave a link down below to which you can make your donations, and I hope you do.